Today we got James Thomas, and he's probably one of the most famous barbers out there. I've been knowing about him for years, but he didn't know about me. But he was famous for being Steve Harvey's barber. And I'm not going to talk a lot because I got a lot of questions that people have always asked and that they want to know. So, James, tell us how you got started.
I got started seeing, I came from a whole line of barbers, first of all. Let me just say that. My grandfather, my father, my uncle, brothers, a lot of us in the family were barbers. And so, but I thought that I wanted to go another way. I actually went to school to become an engineer and got out, started working in sales for a while. My business sales was doing good, but I was a poor business manager at the time. And so I decided that I would go back to barber school, would go to barber school until I figure out what else I want to do with my life. But once I got into barber school, I actually liked it. I liked the whole idea of barbers and where we came from, from where we were doctors and surgeons and all that stuff. So I learned about the history of it. And then I actually found out I was actually pretty decent at it. And so I liked it. And so from there, I decided, maybe there's something I can stay in. And so it just kind of went from there, man,
So where did you go to college initially?
To Williams Barber College.
Williams Barber College. Where was that located?
It's in Fort Worth, Texas. It's actually the school that I own now, Ken. I actually came back and bought the school that I attended like 30-something years ago.
Okay. Now, after that, what did you do?
So I went to Barber College, finished up, and then I immediately got into the instructors program because I thought I wanted to own a school at that particular time. Got into the instructor program, but at another school, because the school that I went to, Williams Barber College, at the time didn't offer an instructor's program. So I went to another barber college, and that is where I met a guy named D. Horney. He was a guy who actually owned a barber shop in Arlington, Texas. And his son went to school at the school that I was attending, and he told me about this shop that was in Arlington that was looking for a barber. I had just finished school, and so I started to working at this shop while I was in barber college to get my instructor's license. And along the way, I vetted to Mr. Harvey while I was working at that place.
Okay, tell us how that went.
When I first met Mr. Harvey, he said that he was in town working on, I guess, a comedy show. He was doing a comedy show in town. And he would ask around town for places to get a haircut and who was one of the guys, who should he go see to get his haircut. He said my name kept coming up. And so one day he walked into the barbershop and got a haircut from me. And so whenever he would be in town, he would basically show up at the shop and get his haircut and, and would travel back and forth, time and again. And then at some point he actually came back to town one time and said that he actually wanted to take me back to Hollywood with him.
Okay, but then you had a wife and family, didn't you?
Had a wife and kids, man. And, at that time, I think at the time he finally came back to convince me, I actually had opened up a barbershop or two of my own by then. And so he was trying to get me to leave with him. And I'm saying, hey, man, I can't do that. I got wife and kids. I got, barbershop. We got clientele. I just can't do it. And so that's when we got into a bidding war of what it would cost me to change my mind. And so, he started saying, hey, man, but I'm willing to give you like $500 a haircut, which really was a significant amount of money, because you're talking almost 30 years ago, to go and cut his hair for television. I was like, no, I can't do that, man, And so he was like, okay, well, what about if I give you $1,000 a haircut? Now, I wasn't making no $1,000 a day,
30 years ago.
30 years ago.
That's like $10,000 a haircut now.
Right. So I was like, well, no, I'm not making no $1,000 a day. It sounds good, but still, man, got a wife and kids. It's just, I don't think it's for me. And so he was like, $1,500, man. Come on now. And I was like, "Come give me $1,500 to go cut your hair." He was like, "Yeah, man, I'll pay for you to fly. Take care of all your room and board and your food. It won't cost you nothing, man. Just come on, man, go with me." I'll say, "Okay, man. So you're gonna give me $1,500 a haircut and pay for all this stuff?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, I can at least go talk to my wife and kids about it." And so I ended up talking to them about it, saying, "Hey, baby, this food," I said food, so he gonna give me $1,500 to cut his hair. He just need me for a couple of days. He fly to LA and pay for all this stuff, and basically I'd be back on the days when I'm busy, because he wanted me at the time on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Now, people in the hair industry know that most of the time Wednesdays are kind of like, it's like a slow period for us, in most barbershops and salons. Thursdays, it's kind of like up on upside, starting on the start the incline. And of course, Friday and Saturday is normally in the business. For us, it's one of the busiest times. So it sounds like a pretty good deal, because I'm saying on these slow days, I would be out of town making $1,500 a day. A couple of days I make $3,000. Come back, I still can be there on my business time, which is Thursdays and Fridays. I mean, it was a sweet deal for me. And so needless to say, I took it. And so I fly to LA. Well, when I get out there, it's like it's everything he said it would be. Of course, he put me up in the finest apartments and got all these cars and car service and all this stuff was at my disposal, food, anything I wanted, basically, fly me back and forth. He did all the things he said he was going to do. And so it was a sweet deal. So I was like, okay, cool. But then once I got that then people like Cedric, who was on the show with him, come to me and they said, "Hey, JT, what is Steve paying you, man, to do his hair?" And I say, "Well, he's giving me $1,500, And they was like, "Okay, cool. I give you $1,500. And I was like, "Really?" So I'm tripping at this point, because I hadn't been in the business that long, So to be making, this kind of money was kind of blowing my mind. But I was cool about it though, Chin. I wasn't tripping. I didn't let him see my game face, what I'm saying? But I kept the game face on, So I was like, okay, yeah, 15, like it was normal, So he was like, "Okay, I give it to you." And so then the guy on the show, Romeo, which is Merlin Santana, which was the guy that played, I think it was Bullethead, right? Romeo, played Romeo on the show. Okay. He also came to me and said, "How much Steve paying you, man?" And said, I said, "They're paying me $1,500. And he was like, "Cool, I give you $1,500. So now, I'm making like, what is that, $4,500 a day. You know what I mean? And then it just went from there. I went from there to like the Kings of Comedy. Steve and them started traveling, doing the Kings of Comedy during that era. And so we go out with Bernie Mac. Cedric goes out with us. At that time, I think we had Dia Hughley and who else? Yeah, Steve, Cedric, Dia, and Bernie Mac. And so while we were on the road, I was already doing Steve and Cedric. So then for Bernie Mac, same question. What is he paying you, JT, to do the hair? And so now I'm doing doing Bernie, doing DLs, while we're on tour as well. And then it went from 2 days basically to 4 or 5 days a week. Just kind of depends on whether we were going out with the Kings of Comedy or whether we were just doing regular taping for television. And so, it got kind of where some points might be $7,500, $10,000 a day, man. Doing something that I love to do anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like how it went, man.
Okay. And how long were you with Mr. Harvey?
I stayed with him for about 31 years, something like that. Yeah.
That's a long time.
Long time, man. I mean, but Steve, he's a loyal guy. Yeah, and so it's times I try to get out to him and say, "You know what, I'm gonna try to, hey, but JT, I got this for you, man. Listen, what we're gonna do, we're gonna make you my project manager, I'm like, okay, what I'm saying? So you can make that money, man. I'm gonna make you a producer on this this project we about to do, man, we got about to do the Hoodie Awards. I'm gonna make you a producer on there. So every time I thought I saw out Ken, he would throw something else in my lap, basically, you know, and it would keep me there, and it became a great friendship, and I think more so he wanted his friends around, and you know, more so than the money, I'm thinking, you know what I mean? So
now,
yeah.
but then you wrote that book. Tell us about your book.
So the book, the title was Steve Harvey, Barber Says It All, and the subtitle is An Extraordinary Look at Hair Care. And I purposely put extraordinary, I separated the two, because a lot of the things I talk about in the book, it talks about people being extraordinary, and the difference between what, you know, the person being ordinary and extraordinary is basically the extra things that they do in their lives to make them extraordinary. And I had a lot of people to ask me, how did I become Steve Harvey's barber? How did I become a celebrity barber? And I think people idea was that some type of application you fill out to get this position. And I want them to understand that I did not do that. It was just the things that I did. And I talk about it. My father, how he raised me to be an extraordinary person and what it would take to do that. He told me whenever I did things, I always give a little bit more than what is asked of me. And I talk about those things, and I do comparison in it to other people that are successful in whatever they do, and how their journey made them go on extraordinary tasks by going above and beyond what is expected of them. And I talk about all those things in the books, man, in the book, so that people can understand that you too can do it, and all it takes is just be willing to go above and beyond what other people are willing to do.
So with you being this extraordinary barber, you was giving them that VIP service to just regular blue-collar workers.
Anybody that came in, yes, sir. And that's what I tell people, because if you are, and I say best, meaning that, you know, that could be taken however people take it, you know, whatever context. But if you're the best at anything that you do, you can be successful at it, or be financially successful, whatever, you know, your success model is, by doing that. And so I wanted people to know that I didn't go looking for Steve or anybody in particular. They came looking for me because of the service that I was providing for, like I said, regular people, ordinary people every day. And so that's basically how I got to where I was. Yes, sir.
Now, yeah, you are a great cutter, but you also had a lot of other great characteristics. Tell some of the people about that, because a lot of these young people think just because they can cut the fastest and the best that they're going to get here. Tell them some of the things. I know your cutting skills help, but there were some other things about you that actually helped. I don't know any barber that can say he was getting $1,500 a haircut, or making $10,000 a day, and working one of the top entertainers for 30 plus years longevity. No one can say that but you. It's like Michael Jordan, and, you know, Tiger Woods, James Thomas. That's like legends. I don't think any barber will ever do what you've done.
Yeah, I take it back to, like I say, man, trying to do the best at everything that I did. Like I would tell you, I would show up early. Even when I was at barber school, I would show up. I would be one of the first ones there, one of the last ones to leave. I would try to read more, talk to, you know, mentors more, just anything that I thought would give me an edge. I would do those things, and I did it just on a day-to-day basis. I use the example when I was in elementary. I did a project about the Aztec Indians. And so, you know, the instructor in the school was telling us that they want to do this project and turn in. So what I did was, when I wrote the report, I also made a little TP and I put it on this board, and I had, you know, a layout of how the villages were and all that stuff. And so when I turned it in to the teacher, she brought me up to the front of the classroom. She was like, "Hey, come up here." She said, "Now, this is what I'm talking about. When you do things, you know, you got to put extra things into it." And so I got excited as a kid when I saw that, because of the attention that I got from it. So I applied it to the rest of things I did in life, and it works. And I tell people it still works today. if you one of the first ones at work, the last one to leave, you want to use the best tools, the best product, you try to talk the best and dress the best and do all these things, man, it will put you in a lead of people, would have put you what I call the extra mile, which is the area where you want to be in life with very few people. So all those things I did, I still do it now. And I think if you do those things, use as a recipe for success, I think it works, man. And it's not that hard to do, just be willing to do it, basically.
Okay, now, when you went on this book tour, I had a school back then. It's been some years back. And that's when I first met you, and I was so excited that you were coming to the school. And I told everybody, all the students, I mean, it was like Michael Jackson or somebody come to our school. We was all excited and ready. And you came to the school, and that was the first time we ever met. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, okay. So I was in town, actually. I came originally to go speak at Oprah Winfrey's father's school. I think it was in Nashville. And so I was working with a guy, Dwayne, which was managing me at the time. And he said, hey, man, this guy named Chin has a school here, too. We should go by and visit his school. You know, I didn't know of you at the time, but apparently he did. And so he was like, we should go by. I was like, well, the problem was, Chin, when we came there for the other school visit, we couldn't find any place to stay. You know, we just came from Atlanta, assuming that we were going to get to Nashville, and then we just book a hotel once we got there. And, you know, that'll be that. And, you know, we got there, man, we couldn't find hotels anywhere. They ended up having some type of music festival or something was going on that particular time. And we ended up staying in, you know, this hotel. I don't want to call no names. But anyway, hotel that was something that I didn't want to stay in. But anyway, so we stayed there that night. And, you know, after we did the thing for Oprah's father. And then he said this guy wants to come by school. I was like, no, man, because where we going to stay? You know, I was like, how we going to stay another night? He was like, I'll find somewhere to stay. And I was like, okay, you find somewhere to stay, man, that's decent, then we'll stay. So he found a spot, came by your school, man. I think you had this very nice school. I think you had something maybe like 400 students or something. So it was a really large school. Had a great interview. Got a chance to meet you and maybe one of your business partners or something. I think that was with
Ms.
you.
Velma?
And what's her name? Miss Velma. What's her name? Miss Velma. Met her and, like I say, spoke to the students. Man, it was a great experience. And then after we finished talking with the students, like I say, we signed autographs and took pictures. And then I had a conversation with you. Once I was done, you said, hey, man, you ever thought about opening up a school? And I was like, you know what, man, I thought about that like years ago. And you said, man, you should think about it. He said, you see how excited these students are that you're here and how you impacted their life. He said, I'm afraid that if you open up across the street, you'll shut me down, you know. That's what he said. So we laughed about it, like, man, get out of here with that. But he said, no, I'm serious, man. You should really think about it. And to be honest with you, Chin, I had thought about a way, because, you know, I had been traveling for like almost 30 years with Steve at the time. And I really wanted to go back to Texas and, you know, spend more time with my family and, you know, with people and really do what I really love to do, which is be in the hair business. I never done the whole Hollywood thing. Celebrity barber was not a goal of mine. But I just didn't know how to get out. You know, I was in it. You know, I went from doing what I was doing there to traveling with Steve, making all this money. And plus, I lost all my clientele during the process. And so go back home to what? You know, I didn't really have any business to go home to. So I ended up having to figure it out. And when I met with you, you told me that, man, that's how I got out. Basically, I called the guy up at the school that I own now and asked him, hey, man, you ever thought about selling that school? And he was like, nah, you know, I think if I, you know, get out of the business, I'm just going to leave it to one of my kids or, you know, nephews, somebody in his family. And I was like, oh, man, I said, okay, if you ever want to sell it, you know, let me know. And then 6 months later or so, he called me back. And he said, hey, man, you still want to buy that school? And I was like, yeah. He said, well, I'll sell it to you. And I said, I'll buy it. Now, I said that to him before I even thought about the fact that I'm still with Steve, right? I had just signed a deal to do the talk show they had in Chicago. I mean, my deal was already done. I mean, I already had an apartment. I already had, you know, they could give you a call and stuff that Steve promised they were still doing it. All that stuff was lined up. I just signed off on it. You know what I mean? We're about to go in a few weeks. You know what I mean? So I said, yeah, I want to buy it. So, you know, I'm excited and everything. I thought about, whoa, wait a minute now. how am I gonna do that? You know what I'm saying? I'm already under contract to go to Chicago. So I said, man, I gotta go talk to Steve. So I called him up. I said, hey Steve, what's going on, dog? He said, hey man, what's up, JT? I said, hey man. I said, you remember, because I had talked to him about it, Tim, when I came to your school, when you told me about I should open up the school. I said, man, I've been thinking about doing the school. So I had told him back then, but nothing in depth. And so when I came back to him now, this is like real now, So I go to him, I said, hey man, you remember I was talking to you about that school, and he was like, yeah. I said, well, I bought one in Texas. He was like, oh, good, man, that's good. He said, but how that's gonna work? I said, what you talking about? He said, I'm saying, how you gonna do both? How you gonna be down at the school, man, and be like up here in, Chicago with us? I said, that's what I'm coming to talk to you about. I said, if I go do the school, I ain't gonna be able to go to Chicago. And he was like, huh? I said, yeah, I ain't gonna be able, I'm gonna go down there and run the school, He was like, let me get this straight, JT. So you gonna leave all this right here and open up a damn school? I said, yeah, man, that's what I want to do. He said, what that shit pay?
He said, what?
He said, what that shit pay? In other words, so I say, well, I don't know what it pays. You know what I'm saying? I say, all I'm saying, man, is that it's something that I always wanted to do. You know what I mean? And I talked to the guy at the school that I went to, 30 years ago. He's retiring, I had asked him about buying it if he ever retired, and he called me back. And he said that there's something to me, and there's something I really want to do, man. It's an opportunity. I think that I should jump on. I think I can help a lot of people. It'll be what I really always want to do, And he was like, man, he said, so go back to Texas and go run a school. I was like, yeah. He said, well, JT is like this right here, man. He said, all the stuff I'm doing right now, this is my shit. That's what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? And if that's what you want to do, man, he said, go do your thing, man. He said, I can't be mad at you about that. And so that's basically how I ended up getting back to Texas, and doing the school deal.
Now, what about, did he cut his hair before you?
He cut it before. He actually cut his hair when he turned 50. When he turned 50, he cut his hair. We were actually in the last season of taping. I can't remember what show we were doing then, but anyway. And so because what happens here, whenever we would go out, travel, do shows, whatever we were doing, concerts, people always want to touch his hair, feel his hair, take pictures of all this kind of stuff, And Steve said, hey man, this hair thing is it's upstaging me now. It's like my hair done got bigger than me. He said, when I turn 50, I'm just gonna cut it off. So, we laughed about it, man, have some fun. We like, man, please, you ain't cutting it. I'm serious, JT. At the end of this year, when I go home for the holidays, I'm going to cut it all off, man, because he said my hair is getting bigger than me, He said, I started this thing, man, but I wanted this perfect haircut. You provide that for me. He said, now it's like my hair is bigger than my career of anything else I'm doing. And he said, I just think I need to just change my whole look, So, of course, we laughed about it and went home for the holidays and, Christmas and everything, and came back first of the year. He had cut it all off. he said, I'll be honest with you, JT, I was scared to do it. He said, I got in front of the mirror one day and I looked at it and I put the balding clippers right in the middle of my head and I went straight down the middle. He said, once I did that, I was like, it's over now. I can't go back. And so he just said he took it all off. And so when I saw him at the first year, of course, it looked strange to me when I saw him, like, you really cut all your hair. I told you I was going to do it, man, And he was like, so what you going to do now, messing with me? He tell everybody I was on suicide watch. But I said, hey, man, I don't know. I said, you don't mess me up, dog. You know what I'm saying? I said, the famous haircut, man, that made me the barber I am today and all that, you took that away from me. So he's like, nah, man. He's I'm still going to let you shave my head every day. You shave it. And then what happens here, so we had this girl named Debbie Denson, was his makeup girl. Well, she got this big contract with Ice Cube to do his movies. And so she traveled with us doing his makeup. I was doing his hair and stuff. But when she got the big contract with him, to do all his movies, you know, it was a big deal for her. And so she was like, Steve, you know, so she had to leave. And so she was like, man, I got to get me a makeup person that I feel comfortable with, man. I just don't feel like going through all that, you know. And I was like, well, dog, I'll learn how to do makeup. You know, he said, nigga, you don't know how to do no makeup, JJ. You ain't finna do no makeup on me. I said, no, I go to class. I'll learn. He said, you gonna go to makeup class? I said, yeah, I go to makeup class. And so I went to the producer, man, one of the TV shows, and she was like, yeah, JT, if you want to do it, we actually pay for you to go. And I said, really? And they was like, yes, they paid for me to go to makeup class, man. I learned how to do high-def makeup, all that stuff for television. So I continue to shave his head every day, you know what I'm saying? And I did his makeup. And so I did that up until I left, you know, about 8 or 9 years ago and did school. So yeah, I did that as well.
Okay. So, and then when you started doing the school, how did you feel about that?
Well, when I first did school, I was a little bit nervous, of course, because it was new waters, you know, for me to, you know, to charter. And when I first bought the school 10, I had 12 students. And so, you know, the income was a little bit different than what I was used to. So I said, okay, you know, my wife thought I was crazy because the school I bought was older school. It's been around since 1952. And so it wasn't the best looking school aesthetically. If you look at it, it's like, why would you buy this place, you know? And so my wife, she was like, I don't know, James, maybe you should have stayed with Steve, you know? So, but it was in my heart though, Chen. So I went there, man. I made a few changes. We went from 12 students, and now we keep about 75 on the average right now. We do pretty good business every week on the floor. It's pretty good business, and I'm helping so many people, man. And it turned into a business that's really profitable. You know, I can make a really decent living still at it, and I'm helping so many people, man. And we're doing a lot of community things here, so we help a lot of people in the community. We do a lot of stuff with churches, group homes. We do some stuff with some professional athletes and stuff here, different benefit things they do. I do some stuff with Mark Cuban's charity that he has. Still do some stuff with Steve Charity, and just so many different things that it gives an opportunity to be freed up to do by me doing the school here. I have a radio show that I do here, you know, internet radio show. Of course, we're about to start up the book tour again, you know, because, you know, it's been a minute since we actually went out with the book, and it's like people think there's a new book, Chen, but it's been out for 10 years. The information that's in there is still relevant, so it can still help a lot of people. So, you know, I got an assistant now, Erica, that works with me that helps me get my life back in order. And so we're going to do a lot of things like that now that you know, being back here will allow me to do. So we have a new project that we're putting together as well that's going to help a lot of people in the industry get their life together, man, on track. So it's a lot of stuff we get an opportunity to do, man, by me being back home. So I'm really enjoying that.
Now, how does it feel to be able to impact all those students' lives?
Oh man, it's the most. It's everything I thought it would be, Chen, and then some. You know, what I envisioned when I first got out of barber school. You know, what I wanted to do, and it's funny how life takes you on these journeys, man. Take you all around the world and come back to it. You know, 30-something years ago. But it's everything I thought and then more, man. Now, with what we're doing with the schools, man, it's just really, really exciting, man. I've seen so many people transform from, you know, struggling in their life, man, telling me that now they're making $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a week and stuff like that, man. And, you know, and they used to make maybe $300 or $400 a week or less. And it's a really, really rewarding feeling, man, to see them doing that stuff, you know. So.
Okay. Well, I thank you for taking the time out to share this with us. Because I'm going to share it with the world on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Anything you want to leave them with?
I just want to tell people, man, always striving to be all that you can be. You know, like I said, I like to think extraordinary, being extraordinary in any way that you can is so important in your life. You can be successful at anything that you do. And I always use the example, I spoke with you several times, about you can be a bricklayer, you can be a lawn person, you can be anything and you can be successful as long as you want the best at it. So always striving to be the best, whatever it is that you choose to do, man. And so that's what I want to leave them with.
All right. Well, I thank you, Mr. James Thomas.
And I thank you, sir.
All right.
Be blessed.
You too.
All right.